So that new cutter head on the weed eater, it's a really nice thing to have. That steel trimmer. But while I was going around getting close to the hugelkultur mound, I got a little bit too overzealous and I wound up taking the tops off of a couple of my garlic plants. These are about maybe a month to a month and a half away from harvest time, but they're still pretty well developed. You can find garlic like this for sale at the grocery store if you went in there right now looking for it. They're mature enough that I can go ahead and set them aside and let them dry, and they'll still be usable. Now here's an interesting note. If you're in the store and you're buying garlic and you see roots or the remainder of roots on your garlic, they might be just trimmed back a bit. Now if you see the roots or the remainder of roots, that's domestic produced garlic. If the roots are all the way cut off at the base, do that with this one here. I'm not trying to scalp it too much, but if they are cut off close to the base, then that is imported garlic and it's most likely from China. So, roots trimmed a little bit, domestic, cut all the way off at the base, Chinese. That's how you tell. Well, hello there, good people. Hi, it's Jason with Green Country Agroforestry, and I'm back here in the backyard on, what day is today? Monday, June the 7th, I believe it is. And today I am harvesting garlic from my hugelkultur mound. Now, I made this mound last year during spring and summer months. It was a lot of hot, sweaty work. I did it all by hand, dug it out with a shovel, 5 foot wide, 20 foot long, 2 foot deep, and then layered in dirt, wood, green vegetation like this stuff over here in layers, built it up to about 1.5 foot high, so we were looking at about 3 to 4 foot of material heaped up in the mound. The top 4 foot across the top was my planting area, and I planted all these garlic in different spacings. I planted some at 3 inches apart, I planted some at 4 inches apart, and I tried a few different depths as well, just to get an idea of the garlic growing experience, because I want to start producing some garlic commercially, starting with this here. As the garlic plant is growing, here's the garlic plant, the bulb at the bottom, it comes up and it produces in the middle, let me find the middle, produces in the middle a long, slender stem, straight up the middle. Straight up the middle there, you see this is the garlic scape. This is a softneck variety. People will say the softneck variety garlic do not produce scapes, or they don't produce them as often. That's well, it's half true. They do produce scapes. That's the scape. They just don't always send up a flower along those scapes. But let me show you what happens whenever you have that flower ascending up the stem, because they start here at the base and they work their way up the stem into that scape, and then they form the flower at the end. But if you've got your garlic planted too close together, notice how thin that stem is compared to my finger. Now I do have big fingers, but that's still only about 1/4 of an inch. So with this one, well, here it is. That little bulb trying to form the flower came up the stem, but reached this point here, and the stem was too narrow, it couldn't go through, and it split the stem. And at that point, the garlic stopped growing, and that's all we got out of it. That's about 1.5 inches. That's not very big. So, spacing, very important. Put them too close together, the stems won't get big enough. There's not enough room for the plant to develop. If it doesn't develop, when it starts to send up that scape, cracks the stem, stops the growth. This garlic bulb could have been so much bigger if it had been allowed to send that bulb, which is about maybe an inch, 3/4 perhaps of an inch across. You want to be able to send a 3/4 inch size bulb up the stem of the plant. If you can't get there, you've killed your plant. 4 inches probably is too close together. In the future, I'm going to go with a 6-inch spacing for garlic. That means I'll be growing less garlic, but I'll be growing bigger bulbs, and I'll have more plants that survive. Whenever you're harvesting the garlic, I'm going to try to avoid damaging the bulbs. So you're going to take the fork out a couple of inches away, get it down the ground, pull back. If you've got your garlic planted shallow enough, this will work. If it's really deep, you'll have to go digging and excavating, and I discovered that deeper planted bulbs don't prosper very well. So you want to have just enough to cover up the clove, and that's about it. Then mulch around the top of it, 2 or 3 inches of mulch after that, whenever you're planting. And I'll do some garlic planting here in the fall and show you how that works. Now that I've learned from some of my mistakes, I'm going to show them to you so you don't make them. Garlic beds. How wide should they be? Well, that's a good question. Ideally, just take a good, comfortable stance for you to be standing for long periods of time, and measure the point between your feet, and that's how wide they should be, because you need to be able to stand on either side and go down the row and pull your garlic out. Otherwise, harvesting becomes maybe a bigger chore than you want to undertake. It doesn't do a whole lot of good to grow something if trying to harvest it makes you scream and run away. All right, we had some Virginia creeper come in here. Now, I have some thoughts on that rat. The way I figure it, that rat was trying to do me a favor. I had these plants planted too close together, and it was just coming along and trying to be nice. And thin them out for me. See, I got that one too deep. So, too deep, no good. Too close together, no good. Garlic's not a hard plant to grow. Ooh, that one's a little bit deep too. Not a hard plant to grow, but it's an easy plant to grow wrong. Alright, now that I've got the garlic harvested and brought in, it's in this big plastic bag here, it's time to do a little additional processing. It's rather hot and humid right now. I can't just leave the garlic sitting in this bag. It'll wind up getting moldy and it'll be unusable entirely. So we need to go ahead and take this and process it by drying. That. Foliage. That one's about marketable. Okay, so after having done that, we're going to have these tops like so. Trimming, we're going to have some tops, just like so. these will need to be hung up. Alright, so the way we'll go about doing that is taking a piece of twine. This is 20,000 feet of baling twine. Costs about $21. You get an awful lot of use out of the 20,000 foot roll of baling twine. We'll take these, we'll start out with just a simple knot. There we go. Long, and make this one a little bit higher, wrap it around. Another one, a little bit higher, wrap it around. Another one, wrap it around. And we continue to work our way up so these bulbs are not next to each other. There's a little space in between each one. And a wrap. A wrap. And I can come back down. Wrap. 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 The objective is to make sure that the bulbs, the heads, are separated with enough airspace between them. So that the air can flow. And the bulbs can dry. Save that one for a bit. Okay, so these clumps can really be any size that you want. We're going to go ahead and make a half-inch knot. So, followed by another. All right. This. Just hang. And here, underneath the carport, we'll have airflow coming through the sides, shelter from the rain, and these bulbs can dry up. Now, alright, now that a week or so has passed, the garlic that we've hung up has dried out very nicely. It's time to proceed to our next step of cleaning it up. So let me go ahead and bring the wheelbarrow over. I've got a brush around here somewhere. Here we go. We'll scrub that dirt layer off, do a little bit of peeling and a little bit of pruning, and we'll see what the finished product looks like. Let's have a look at one of these pieces of garlic now that's been hanging up for a couple of weeks. The stem is thoroughly dried out. The dirt that was on the outside, we didn't even bother brushing most of the dirt off whenever we pulled these out of the ground. We didn't rinse them, we just hung them up and let them dry. Now the outer layer of the paper covering is dry, the dirt is dry, and we can take a brush and just Make a couple swipes across the surface. That tears off the outer layer of paper and removes the dirt, or most of it anyway. And then we can take our clippers, clip off the excess roots. Once again, if you have some root remaining, it is most likely domestic. If there is no root remaining, it's cut all the way down into the paper, it's most likely imported, and most imported garlic is from China. Then you just clip off the rest. And there's a cleaned up clove of garlic. We'll go ahead and get the rest of this taken care of. Alright, after a little work, we've got our first 2 bundles of garlic cleaned up and ready to go. I've weighed this in. It's 1 pound for 2 bundles of garlic. And we've got 7 more hanging up here, so I guess that means our estimated harvest for the year for garlic will be 8 pounds. Well, good people, that's all I have for you today. I hope you found the video informative or entertaining, and if you did, please hit the like button. Please leave your comments down below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, bang the notification bell, and I will catch you next time.